Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another in color episode of A Little Something to Wine About with your hosts, Siobhan Camille
and Ty Michelle,
where we wine, W-I-N-E, about life, love, relationships, personal growth, and more. And today we will be whining about personal growth, talking about what's your level up. So grab a glass of your favorite red, white, or rosé and join us on the couch. Please remember, do not drink and drive. We are not responsible for your personal responsibility. Be drink responsibly. Be an adult. That's what she's saying.
Hey y'all. So before we get started with our wine, we have to give you all an update on why we're doing it this way. We were supposed to have a wine out last month because, as you know, we have one every month where we invite guests to the show and we go back through the wines that both Siobhan and I have had. She gets to taste mine, I get to taste hers, and our guests taste everything. So we do a little wine review. So last month, we had some technical difficulties where we did not press record. So our entire episode just was a regular conversation. So we said, you know what? We can't go without doing a wine out for the month. So this is our redo. We have decided to, everybody collectively chose 2 wines, and we're going to do a real true wine tasting. None of us have had any of these wines to my knowledge.
Nope.
This will be a first, so you get to see a true wine tasting with the Whining in Color episode of this wine out. But speaking of our guests, let's tell you about our wonderful, wonderful guest who's a true friend to us and the podcast.
Yes. Oh, you want me to?
Yes.
I'm trying to speak here, but everybody calls me Sean for short because nobody can ever remember my long name.
Mm-hmm. It gets stuck in the back of my throat.
It gets stuck in the front too. Oh.
Just stuck.
Yeah, it's just like period.
Yeah, period. So so we have a little bit more hefty snacks today. Thanks to what he likes to call himself, the husband. So we will be munching, please excuse us, while we're reviewing. And the topic of discussion today is going to be your personal level up, meaning your 2.0 or 3.0 or 5.7, whatever you want to call it, but your next level, your next step. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you've learned from your past journey? And so on and so on. So we're going to chop that up a little bit. But first, we're going to pick a wine. Let's pick a wine. So Sean, tell us, while we're whining, tell us,
What's your level up?
Like, what you've been doing to,
Get to the next you, to be your best self.
I'm just starting off. For me, it's been a whole whirlwind of things, going from a divorce and depending on someone financially, being a stay-at-home mom. So to build yourself up, and that was a little over 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So to build myself up to, I just graduated, Bowie State University in May with my bachelor's degree. So, and I've been working, also for a company for 7 years. But my level up was, my biggest thing was buying a home.
Mm-hmm.
So being a homeowner for the last 2.5 years, that is a huge level up for me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't easy. It never is. But it's an accomplishment to say you actually really own something, you have your name on it. And it didn't matter if it was going to be, I didn't say, hey, I had to have this huge Mac mansion. I just wanted it to be mine. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I wanted to make sure all the kids, that's another level up for me. All the kids had their own rooms, their own space, because they never had.
I understand.
We were able to move from a bad neighborhood. They were never able to play outside. In order to move now, they're like, Mom, I'm outside. Well, 20 minutes, they don't be outside. that is a huge level up. But also, I just found out on yesterday, I got the email I got my promotion. I am now supervisor as of August 30th. I am overly excited about it. I've worked very hard to get here. But also, I start my master's in the fall so that I can become a project manager. Okay. I want to get my PMP certification as well. I realize education is very important, to get to the next step and where you need to be. So those are pretty much all my level ups, is just to really be a homeowner and to make sure I'm doing everything I can for my kids. And they see these things that I'm doing. Because now they see it and they're like, oh, I want to go to school. I want to do this.
I didn't know you were stay-at-home.
I was. In my first marriage, absolutely.
I did not know that. I think that that's even more of an inspiration to me, like hearing that basically in 7 years or so, you've gone from being a stay-at-home mom to getting your bachelor's, working on your master's, becoming a supervisor, really moving. Because I know for a lot of people, especially, like, let's be honest, we all in our 30s here. So for a lot of people in their 30s, I think there's a stigma that it's too late to start.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not. It's really not. So to hear, somebody say, look, whatever that section in my life was, my stay-at-home mom section portion of my life, is not my whole life, it's not my whole story. I can start over at 29, at 30, 31, 32, whatever that happens to be. Like, that's awesome.
And for me, I also had a thing, I kept telling myself, at first I was like, oh, I got kids, I can't go to school. It's always a reason why you can't, you say you can't do something. But my mom had this notion, and she said to me, how do you eat an elephant? And I said, well, what does an elephant have? Right. What does an elephant have to do with it? Right.
We just going to survive.
I get what you're saying. When I think about the level up aspect of it, my mom plays a huge role. She got her bachelor's from Boone in 2003. She got her master's from Phoenix. So I'm kind of walking in her footsteps. But she said, well, how do you eat an elephant? I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? And she said, one bite at a time. She said, you don't eat the whole entire elephant. So even if you're taking one class at a time, you're still going to get to your end goal. Don't sit there and try to take 4 classes and work full-time and be a full-time mom. That's way too much going on. But as long as you're taking one step at a time, you'll get to where you need to be.
Okay, cool. That's inspiration to me because I'm on the opposite side of that. For me, I don't want to say I will say I do feel stagnant in some aspects of things because so much is against us. When I say us, I'm speaking in reference to my husband and I. It's just been a whole whirlwind, not to get entirely too deep, but we are a blended family. So with us being blended, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of tug and pull. It's a lot of over. I don't want to say overcompensating, but it is overcompensating for the absent parent or the lacking parent. And it can be tough. When I first got married, I was a stay-at-home stepmom. Because, baby girl we got married, she had just turned 2. Yes, like fresh 2. And it was a lot of things that I noticed that she was lacking. So my job, especially I'm home, was stay-at-home mom. I'm teaching, I'm doing this, I'm doing that to make sure she got what she needed, making sure the other children who are getting off the bus are getting what they needed. Yes, we had another person at the house to help, but we all know that all help isn't help. So it was that aspect of it, and my husband had it. I had the financial side, it is what it is, and with that I was able to venture into entrepreneurship, where I became a lash tech, esthetician, whatever you want to call it. And it was like, at first I was like, yay, I'm here for it. Yeah. Woo! And then it was like, okay, this is not consistent. I don't like this. I don't. Then I lost the drive to do it. And I was like, yeah, I can't. Nope. So things shifted on my husband's side. when things shifted on my husband's side, it was like, this man was going to kill himself working. It got to the point we didn't see him. And I was like, Michelle, there's nothing wrong with you. Get up and go to work. Mm-hmm. So at that moment, it was an instant shift. Get up, go to work. Get up. You can do the little entrepreneur thing on the side because it's not really getting you what y'all need right now. So my shift, get up, go to work. Got up, got a job, went to work. And it's just been a constant hustle and a constant, okay, this and this and raising the kids. And I understand. See, we have 6 children. 6 children, 1 out of state. And it's a lot. It's a lot of work. So when you say, okay, I think I want to go back to school. Ooh, where does that fit in your budget? Where does that fit in your time? You know, because now it's where people say, well, no, kids don't matter. They do matter. They do play a part in it. When you have X, Y, and Z, somebody has to be home to raise these children. So for me, it's that part of it. Now, great. Now they are getting older, but now here I am, like 40, and saying, "Hey, girl," and I'm like, "Do I have the attention span to go back to school?" Realistically, when you do this, something is actually going to be lacking. Something somewhere is going to be lacking.
I mean, yeah, we talked about that.
And for me, it's what are you going to sacrifice? And for me, my biggest thing is I never want my children to have to sacrifice for something that I want. And I feel that's where the biggest sacrifice will be. If you go back to school, your children somewhere are going to fall. And that mentally, I can't handle. So if that means I got to thug it out and do this another way, then that's what I'm going to have to do. Because I'm not going to rob them of their chance to move forward because I decide, oh, now I want to follow my dreams. That's selfish. That's absolutely selfish. But at the same time, I do understand you still have to show them that through all these obstacles, you still have to have drive. You still have to have a goal. It might not be what you want to do, but you have to have a goal and execute. And how are you going to execute that? So for me, I look at it a little differently. But I will say I have an awesome girl tribe who's always challenging me, and sometimes I want to be like this to them, like for real. But I understand it. Even to be honest, creating this podcast, this has been a thought process, both of you know, for a while. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. Cool. When it happens. And my co-host, lovely sister here, was like, look, this is what it is. If you want to do this, let's do this. Then God sent confirmation through some other things. And I was like, okay. Being Corona, and I was like, okay. So things fell in place where there was no excuses. And I don't mind when things like that happen. It's okay, God, I see you, I hear you, I'm moving. So that part I don't mind doing. Okay, well, let's grow this. Let's do this. Let's learn this new skill. Let's move this over here. I don't mind it. I think I'm going to be the type of person that'll gain a whole bunch of skills but don't have the degree. Mm-hmm. So, and what I am learning is that doesn't disqualify you for things. And this is my self-growth. That's a learning process because, you know, when you're growing up, you hear, especially as African-American children, you don't have a degree, you don't have anything. You can't go anywhere because when we were younger, you can't go anywhere if you don't graduate high school. So everybody was like, well, as long as I graduate high school, then it was you can't go anywhere if you don't have a degree. Oh, okay, well, I'll go out and get all these student loans. I've never had a student loan. I went to PG Community College for some years, then I ended up getting pregnant, and then it was about my son. But I never had student loans, and the stress, the hurdles, the headaches that I see people go through with student loans, is probably the main reason I won't go back to school outside of the kids. I don't want that story, period. I don't want that story. I've never had a student loan. I don't want one. And I feel like there has to be another way for me to, if I need this education, it has to be another way for me to do this where I don't incur a student loan, because I don't want that. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for my children. And that's what I've been pushing more so than me going back to school. I want you all to go through school and you don't have to have that story. You don't have to have that burden, that cloud over your head. So that means I gotta put me off to make sure you can, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm still push and have my own things, but my focus, Michelle 2.0 is making sure your 1.0 is above my 2.0. I feel like if I can get you further than where I was coming out the gate, all right, I'm cool. We can, whew, my job is done because now I've given you all the necessary. I taught you everything that I could. I've helped you every way I can. So now you can take what's around you, the tools that you have, what you learned, and run with it. So that's my 2.0. My 2.0 is me learning a little bit of stuff in there. And I'm not saying I will never go back to school. Because that was even the topic of discussion Wednesday with my husband. But I also have to, I'm the type of person, I have to have drive for it. If it's something that I'm going to be like, oh, and 2 months later, what's that over there? I ain't gonna do it. And then it'll be a waste of money, a waste of time, another thing to regret. Look, I got enough stuff, okay? Yeah. So I think that's where my mindset is on that. But my 2.0 personally is making sure my kids' 1.0 is better than my 2.0. My level up, I went back to school. So I got my bachelor's from Temple University in performing arts. I don't recommend anybody do that. I mean, I really don't. Like, if you choose to, double major. Trust me, just double major. Spend the extra year, find a fallback. I don't recommend anybody just strictly go for the performing arts and just double major. Okay, because a lot of people I know who have performing arts degrees 2 years after we graduated were in nursing programs. I was never, let me be clear, I was personally never going to be a nurse. It's not that I have anything against nursing. The city I'm from, nursing is like this big thing because most people are nurses. I don't have a bedside manner. I do not have the patience, as you know. So I was never going to do that. But I knew a lot of people after that then went into the medical field, usually through nursing, once they had their performing arts degrees and within 2 years and realizing that it's a very romanticized life. Even the struggle of an artist is extremely romanticized versus the reality. Yes.
And I went through that in Boston. That's the wine for another time. But so my level up was I was in a job I hated. And I was like, you know what? I gotta get out of it. And to Michelle's point, a lot of the stuff I did, I taught myself. The job I have now, most of the skills I have for it, I taught myself. The creative design, the marketing, the communications, all of that type of stuff, I taught myself. I've been very fortunate and very lucky that I was able to level up doing things that I wanted to do without realizing that's what I was doing. I worked at a church for 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years. And when their director of media ministry quit, I basically took over because the director of worship and arts ministry and the director of she was also the director of music ministry, same person. So she oversaw music ministry. She also oversaw media ministry and dance ministry. It was my best friend. And her brother is a pastor. So I said, I was already doing freelance stuff for them. There was a whole lot of church going on, but I was already doing freelance stuff for them. I got brought in. I got free reign to do what I want. Like, what software do you need? You tell me. I don't know. So I went and researched and Michelle can test too. I am a research queen. You tell me I need to know this. Give me 24 hours, I'll be right
I promise you, it's the thing I've done my own research on, and then like, I need a second source. Sissy, can you look? Because I found out this. She's like, I got you.
I got you. And I got that from my mother. Quick aside, there was a guy like, and this is back when MySpace was pop. So this was cop. There was a guy I liked, and I wasn't sure about him. And I told his name to my mother. That was all I had. Mm-hmm. And she was like, okay. Within 2 days, my mom called me and was like, yeah, he got a kid and a girlfriend. What? She was like, yeah, I went on this line. I went and I searched them and I found this and I found this and I found this and I found this and I found this. And I was like, oh, who are you? What FBI do you have access to? And what? But anyway, so I'm that person.
She's a mama, okay? Look, we find things.
She's research. So because I had that spirit in me, I took so much and I researched. Like, how do I make videos? I was already playing around with making, video editing. I did that. And I did graphic design. I did a whole lot and I taught myself. But what I realized is, unfortunately, because we do live in a world where that paper is so valued, I went back to school. And I will say I never had student loan debt to that extent. When I got my bachelor's, my mom had been paying toward it while I was in school. When I got out, I think I had $5,000 left on it or so. Mm-hmm. My first job, I literally, the day before I quit, I took all my money. I said, I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to owe anybody. I at least want to be in break it even or whatever. So I took the very last I had and I paid off all my student loans within 9 months of being out of school. I didn't want to go back in debt, which is why I did not go back to anybody's program for so long. I was like, I really don't want to do this. I just want to figure it out myself. And I did that. But unfortunately, a lot of jobs were like, you need a bachelor's. Mm-hmm. I had a bachelor's, but it was in performing arts. Mm-hmm. So that was not helpful. So I went and found a certificate program. I went to Bismarck State College, BSC, which is in North Dakota. I did it online. But they had a high-ranked web design and development certification program. I didn't want to go and I could have gotten an associate's through them, but it would have required me to take core classes. I wasn't doing that. I tested out of core classes my freshman year of college. Like, I didn't have to take it. I think I took like 40. I was not going to go backwards. Mm-hmm. So I took the certificate program instead, just to have the paper. I did it. Great. It was a year program. Fine. Got back into debt. I was able to, and I'm very, very thankful to COVID for this, actually, because COVID was the reason that they put the forbearance on loans and they stopped the interest. I paid it all off because since I don't have interest on it, I struggled on other stuff, make sure all my regular bills are paid, but I paid all that off. So my 2.0 level up for me was I went back to school. I did the year certificate program. And then after that, I hated my job the whole way through. My job was not encouraging for me to do it because I had asked them basically if I could just take a 30-minute longer lunch during days. And I had already worked out the schedule to be like compensated with them and me and the time and everything. And they were like, no, can you do another program? Can you do something at night? Can you do? And I was like, you know what? But this is what I will say. Don't let anybody get in your way. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that program. But I know now that between 5 and 9, I'm going to just have to struggle. I'm going to have to be focused. It was my focus. I didn't really talk to a lot of people during that year. Like, I pretty much, weekends was it. And I was doing projects. I was doing all this other stuff. That was a very stressful time for me because of my living situation, because of everything else going down. That was the 2 years I had horrible birthdays. It was just bad, but I pushed myself through to get it. My grandmother I lost right before I graduated. It was just rough, but that was my 2.0. And that gave me the paper needed to become qualified, even though, mind you, the stuff I learned was web design and development based. The job I have now, the job I was looking for was communication, which was video editing and graphic design, which I had done at church. So I really pushed more toward my experience. But my 2.0 for me was getting a job where I, one, felt appreciated because I did not at my other one. Two, felt compensated rightly, because I was extremely underpaid and overworked at my last job. And three, where I could find my own stability, because I have a daughter. I have Rome. I don't have children. I don't have a husband. Don't have a boyfriend. I just got me. And I needed to be in a place where I could stand on my own, because what I've also realized is a lot of, and I'll speak to the U.S. because I live here, a lot of the U.S. is based around codependency. It's not built for you, especially as a woman, to stand by yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but it was important for me to do that, because I can't live in the fantasy of the magic man I may never meet. I have me. That's an assurance. Right. Me and Roman are an assured thing. Any guy coming in would be nice. You know, help me with these bills.
Temporary.
But there's no guarantee. Right. And even if I were to get married, there's no saying that my husband won't, car accident. No guarantee. There's still no guarantee. There's so many other things in life that I still may end up on my own. And so it's always been important for me to be able to stand on my own. So my 2.0 level up was to be more stable in my independence. Okay.
So with that, I can say that I take my hat off to that, because a lot of people don't even understand that it's hard enough to be Black, but it's harder when you're a Black woman. So just like you said, you weren't getting a compensation for the job that you were doing. You know what I mean? But see, you knew what your body was, so you kept pushing. But a lot of people wouldn't even go in the direction that you're going in. A lot of people say, oh, you know what? I got a man, he's going to take care of that for this. But you're already in that mindset. I can do this on my own. I don't need a man. Now, to say if a man came in and stuff, that's totally different. Right.
I would welcome him with open arms, legs, everything else, please.
But you know, for us, we're doing these different things with kids, and you're doing things independently. But our struggles are very similar. You know what I mean? But it still takes a strong person to do what you're doing, because not a lot of people are there. So I definitely take my hat off to that. And for you to know what your value is so many of us who don't know what will work. But you already know that you're here. So you're not going to accept something that's here.
And that's what's crazy too, because let me tell you, I still think to an extent I undervalue myself. And I know that I was looking to leave Baltimore to the DC area, right? Like all the jobs I was looking for were around DC. I told Michelle back when it was happening, I hate Baltimore. I gotta get out of it. It's toxic for me. It's not good for my depression. It's just, it's extremely bad for me to be here. But I had, when I first moved up, so like 2012, I had done the math of what I would need, the salary I would need to be comfortable, and it was $40,000. I never made that. Let me just first say, never, no. The closest I got was like $38,500. Never made it. And this was going off of, I'm not even trying to live in like the richest place in Baltimore. This was like me trying to live comfortably. And I actually had a very nice apartment, but it was because it was privately owned. I rented from a private person and not a company. So it was priced affordably. Right. I had a very nice time though, a very nice area. It was great. But I said 40. 40 makes me comfortable. 40 gets me to be able to travel. 40 gets Roman is good. 40 is me not living check to check.
Right.
Never made it. And even when I was looking for my new job, and let me tell you the test of that, because I called Marshall after the test. My goal, whenever they asked me, what's your salary range, was always like 45. I was like, if I can just be like 45, I'll be good. I could make, 45 to 50, 45 was like my range, my estimate. When I got the call for my current job, I put that on there, and when I got the call for what my salary was going to be, it was over. Like, 5%, like a good amount over. Like, and I just remember being like, what were you thinking? I don't even know what I'm going to do with. Like, I don't,
just some dog treats.
Yeah, like, it's like, I had in my mind that I needed at least 40. my range was, I think 40 to 45. It really was. I still didn't even push. I was like, 45 is nuts.
So you still undercutting.
I still apparently was undercutting. And then I went through my first year, and when the end of the year came, which is when they look at bonuses and all that, I got another rate. And not the standard little 2% that my old companies do. That's just kind of, they make you feel special about it the first year, and then you realize y'all can do it too. This is a 2% annual. It's not anything spectacular. No, I got a raise and a bonus. And it was, my current company is much more transparent. And I think part of that's because it's employee owned. It's much more transparent. It's much more, I'm giving you this because of this. These were the conversations. Like my supervisor at the time, I didn't mention her, but she's great too. But my supervisor at the time was like, these were the conversations that she told me the conversation she was having with the board and the CEO and her manager about me and why my raise was going to be what it was and my bonus was going to be what it was. You know what I mean? Versus, we're giving you 2%. Oh my God, yay! Mm-hmm. But that's just an annual 2%. Like, it's not really anything special about me about this. So I still undercut myself to an extent. But it was just, I remember getting the call and being like, I can be comfortable. Like, even more so. And I can not only be comfortable, because again, my 40 was based on me being comfortable. Right. I can get out of here and be comfortable. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's always a thing. That's always a thing.
So what prompted you to do your 2.0, to level up? What prompted you to want to level up?
To be honest, my kids. My kids are always my main focus on everything. And I was just like, how can I, trying to be like you, really just be independent? Because I never knew if a man was going to come into my life. So with coming out of that marriage, and see, his thing to me was, he told me I would never make it without.
I think a lot of women got told that.
So for me, he was like, no one would want someone with 3 kids, blah, blah, blah. So when I got the whole spill of that, and I sat down that night, and I just bawled out crying. And I was like, you know what? Crying's not going to get me nowhere. You know what I mean? So my biggest thing was, I can show you better than I can tell you. And boom, got myself together. I moved back to my mother. That's something I never wanted to do as an adult, because it felt like I was taking several steps backwards. But that's what made me do everything. And still now, like going forward with my 3.0, it's a harder decision because my husband now has no children. So when we talk about it, but now you see I'm getting a promotion, I'm trying to get my master's, I'm doing all these things. And within that time frame, I'm roughly 34, he's 35. And we talked about it adding in addition to the 17,000 kids we already have. So I think
I'm not mommy. I'm kidding.
that would be my next step. But it's how do you get there? How do you do those things right now? So that's the next step in it. But the 2.0 really was the kids and me showing. It's not me just showing my ex-husband. It's me showing the world I can do this. No matter how hard it gets. And the thing is, if I fail, I not only fail me, I'm going to fail him. So I got to keep moving.
And I think for any mother or parent figure, that's the thing. But something that I am learning is in my failures, those are lessons to them as well as to me. And what I have started to do is I started to show my children my failures. I didn't do this. This did not go the way I wanted. I'm going to tell you right now, I hate this. I don't want to. But you know what? I'm going to. And I'll get up and they'll see me get up and do it. And just for them to know, this is not what she feels like doing. She feels defeated right now. She feels it because I want them to know that it's normal. You don't have to feel weird and out of place. Everybody goes through that emotion, but this is how you work through it. So instead of me just saying, I'm just going to show you. No, I'm going to show you because I'm going to show you, and the more I show you without talking to you, it could go woo right over your head. And because one is still children, so they may not see it, but having being vulnerable, showing them that vulnerability is putting myself out there, but at the same time, it's showing them, oh, wait, mommy has those doubts and fears too. But she gets up every morning. She does X, Y, and Z. She loves us. She yells at us. She screams at us. We have fun. We laugh. We kick it. We joke. Oh, okay. So mommy is processing this the same way we are. Right. Right. Yeah. And the biggest part is for me was when I did my whole weight loss thing. And my children were, Mom, what's your workout today? I tell them my workout, they be like, oh God, you gonna do it? No, I don't want to do it. This is stupid. I don't know why I signed up for this. I can't believe this is dumb. Who thinks of like, and I'm literally talking to them. One, I'm talking to them because I need to talk to somebody and nobody was there. So that's one. But two, my children are like, oh, okay. So then when they go to practices or they're in, doing things in school and they're like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is that. I want you to be able to show me that just like I can show you that. And then we can go, okay, now that we've established this, how we going to work with this? Mm-hmm. How we going to get through this? How we going to move forward? Because we can't stay here.
Right.
We can't. Even if we want to stay in this miserable spot, you literally can't. You have to make a decision. You can't be still. So, and that's how I have started within, I want to say, the last 2-3 years to look at that, show them those things, because that's something that my mom showed me. My dad didn't show it to, but my dad also has a different creed than my mom. It's different. And again, didn't notice any of that until I got grown. So it's like, oh, my parents aren't this. Oh, they did go through this. So rather my children realize it when they're grown, I'm showing them now so that maybe something will come along and when something came along for me, I didn't say anything to my mom, but I figured it out with my dad and I figured it out. Then later on, I said something to them, I said, oh, well, I could have told you. Now, because they've seen that vulnerable part, they go, well, Mom, you remember when you did, I feel like this sometimes. And then, I felt this way and this is that, or this is what my thought process was. And believe me, they tell me things. And then I have to practice it myself. They're being vulnerable right now. Chill out. Don't snap, because I know what you want to say. But okay, process. Okay, and how you going to work through it? What's the best way to answer this? And sometimes I want to be like, but that don't make no sense. But and sometimes it's warranted. But sometimes it's like, okay, this child takes things this way better. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it this way. Well, let's pose this question. And things like that. Like my son, his anger issue. He was going off. And the Black mama side of me was like, oh yeah, this what we do? Knock up, let's go. But the other side of me was like, girl, I went, I flipped out. My son stopped and was like, and when I stopped, I said, that's what you look like. It was like, ding, like a light bulb went up. I said, that's what you look like. You see your reaction to me? That's what you look like. I said, now think, if your child was doing that to you, the person who you care for, you spend all your money on, you do X, Y, and Z, you go to bat for is doing that to you. What does that make you feel? Like I want to fight them. No. So it was like, so just learning how to navigate through that is another thing, especially with more mental health becoming an awareness thing, and especially in the Black community where we try to kind of play it to the back. And some, I feel like some of the mental health things, it's a lot of good tools and nuggets in there that we can use in our regular everyday life that will help. But I do feel like some of it, I'm like, okay, y'all going too far. Like, no, that child might need their ass kicked. Like, legit. I'm not saying violence is always the way, but sometimes a good foot in the ass stops a whole lot of mess. So just learning that balance, but also, again, using all the tools around you. And I feel like that's just the biggest thing, not just in your children, but even for you. Using all the tools around you is something that has definitely, even in my, I guess you could call it a career, I don't know what, job work situation, just learning to use the tools around me and the people around me for different things, because I've been at my location for about 6 years now. And although I know for a fact I am not getting paid what I am supposed to be getting paid, and I know I'm not, to the point where I have literally told my bosses I could quit and go work for Target and make my paycheck. So, what y'all do? And it's been, oh, wait, let's shuffle and move things around. Absolutely. You're absolutely going to. Or you can go back to that uncertainty. That's that no one is reliable. It's you don't know who's going to be here from one day to the next, or you have someone there for a couple months and then they're gone because they find something better, because some people know their worth. This is just a stepping stool. So, what risk are you willing to put your business in? And that's where we are, well, we were a couple months ago. And I'll be honest, that's what we're going to be come January.
My question for you ladies was this. When it came to your level ups, your different levels that you've been through to level up, did you celebrate, whether no matter how small they were or how big they were? Did you celebrate them? And if you did not, why?
I don't know. I never celebrated one of them.
Me neither. But why?
You know what? I feel like I will say this for me, honestly. I never really celebrated my level up. Whether it was like 8th grade graduation, high school graduation, college graduation, grad certificate, I never really celebrated when it comes to, like, at least I don't think when it comes to education, it's because it was expected. Like, it to me wasn't really an accomplishment. It was a get this done. And so because I was in the house of get this done, I got it done. The other thing for me, to be very honest, is for high school and before, I didn't really work. Like, I feel kind of bad saying this, but I'm truly the person, like, at that age, I was just naturally gifted with intelligence. Like, I literally was in gifted programs all over the place. I was the type of person to, and even through college, because I did this, I had a whole term paper due that I literally wrote the weekend before it was due, handed in. It was about my criminal justice class. It was about death penalty and whether we should keep it, have a moratorium for it, or get rid of it. And I kind of freaked out in September when she gave it to us. I went in the library, looked for books that had to do with the death penalty, and I never opened any of my Twitter lists. Come like December before it was due, I spent the weekend running because I didn't have my own laptop. I was between the library, my best friend's room, the computer lab, but they had a nice computer lab till the next semester that thing opened. So I was in the library, totaling all the stuff to write this paper, handed it in. I got an A. She was like, I don't even understand why you were panicking. But I live my life as a procrastinator. I have perfected the art of procrastination. So to me, I felt like, I'm being honest, because I saw people that would be like in the library studying, like, I don't know, oh my God, and do I know? And they're like working for this. And I'm the type of person, if I don't know it by the time I leave this class, I'm probably not going to do it. Because I'm not going to go back and look at my notes. I'm going to take notes because I'm writing down, so I'm listening and writing. I'm probably going to glance at these maybe before a test and be like, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whatever I know, what I don't, I don't. That's how I feel about it. And I still graduated with honors. And I didn't work. I felt like I didn't put the work forward. So we're like, why am I, one, it was that. Two, again, it was in my house expected that you would graduate high school. And I didn't have the big high school graduation party like a lot of people I didn't have. My mom asked me, do you want one?
To dinner.
Yeah, she was like, do you want one? And I was like, no. First of all, I don't really have friends anymore. But it was just like, what? Like, to me, I didn't feel, it wasn't something I wanted to do. It was like, society tells me I have to graduate high school. You tell me I have to graduate high school with at least a 90 average. Fine. My intelligence will not let me leave high school with less than like a 95. I did that. But I don't really feel anything behind it. I don't, and I know like even from my certificate program, I remember Marshall asked me, like, are you going to celebrate? Like the end of my first semester, I didn't celebrate because honestly, that was a rough December. And that was a very rough December. I basically just wanted to be by myself. My housing situation fell. Romantic life was like down the drain. Me and my best friend were on the outs. I had been in the hospital. There was so much that had happened that December that I was just like, I didn't want to celebrate. I just want to chill out. It's kind of like how I felt about my birthday. I don't want to do it. I probably would have celebrated more actually graduating from the program itself in May, but my grandmother died April 3rd. So like by that, I don't really, like mentally, I'm just trying to get through. And so I really don't think I celebrate my level ups because I don't know how I would celebrate them. Like to me, celebrations tend to, like my mind with celebrations tends to be like family, friends, big extravaganza thing happening. I don't really have a lot of family, I don't have a lot of friends. So like to me, I'm the type of person, I did it. Yay, cupcake for me. And move on. And I've always been like that. So that's what I said for myself.
No. It's crazy because as much as I don't celebrate it for myself, I make it a point to celebrate for my kids. Which is, I think, because I didn't celebrate it for myself, I want them to know that your baby steps matter. So it's not that I don't recognize that my baby steps matter. It's just, I think it's more like you said, this is what was expected of you. So it's like, okay, this is a requirement. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Why am I celebrating this? Like, for me, this is, okay, we go to school. Cool, we graduate. Cool. Was I excited I graduated high school? Yes. But for me, graduating high school meant now you're an adult. And 17, because I graduated at 17, 17-year-old me I was just December, January, February, March, April. 5 months ago, I was 16. So I'm still new to this. Like, I was just 16 years old. Now I'm 17. I'm out of high school. What the heck? I'm quote unquote an adult. I was scared out of my brain. What the hell?
But even your other accomplishments, like you said, even as an adult, accomplishments, you still don't celebrate.
I don't feel like I've accomplished too much as an adult. I don't.
I think there's that too.
I don't feel like I've accomplished much as an adult. I feel like my accomplishments are probably more so, again, within my children. I don't think personally I've accomplished. Outside of me just losing 25 pounds. But even in that, I look at myself and I'm like, you still got some ways to go. Calm down. Don't get too excited. So, but again, that's just me. I'm like, yeah, cool. Great. And for real, something like now, if I ever went back to school and I graduated and all that, I'll be happy. But at the same time, I know me, I would feel like, bitch, you should have did this years ago. Now you playing catch up. So, and that's the other part. It's like, okay, yeah, everybody goes, yes, never too late, okay, but realistically,
especially when you had the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's
I
like,
get that, because you were already in school.
I was in school, right? You should have did this. So,
like, that's how I felt, I think, when I graduated my certificate program. It was like, well, you should have been.
this should have been what you done.
You should have gone to school for something valid. Sorry. Versus like performing art. Like, chick, you like you had the capacity to.
Yeah, like you was being lazy. Okay, great. Now you're halfway where you're supposed to be. But that's me. And that's why I'm like, I feel like I'm probably very hard on myself than most people. But I feel like, girl, a lot of times I do. I feel like, girl, you're so far behind the damn curve. Shut up.
So you want me to wait for my next question? You might got a whole nother question. Like, oh,
well, do you celebrate yours?
So I did not originally. I did not until I just graduated from UC. Someone put something together for me to celebrate me. But I didn't because I thought, just like you guys, I'm like, this is expected. I have to do this, you know, look, you got to get from here to here. And this is just what we do.
The process.
But right. I think as women ourselves, is instilled in us that way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I realized if somebody else doing it for me, it was a whole nother feeling. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that you could get back.
Right. No, and maybe that's it too.
I think that's it. I don't feel like, because I'm like that. Like when Marshall's kids leveled up, moved to that next level last year when they did it because of COVID, they didn't have all the celebrations. We did that. Yeah, I had him go buy cakes. We did a little knighting ceremony. I had to tell him what a knighting ceremony even was. But I was like,
it was a whole thing.
I celebrated and made sure they knew that we recognized their accomplishment. So I guess to me, I would have wanted somebody to recognize my accomplishments, but I wasn't going to do it for myself. I feel like I just wasn't. Like if somebody else would throw me a party for everything, great. I'd have definitely been like, oh, somebody else recognized that. But I'm probably never going to celebrate myself. Because I am extremely hard on myself. And to me, I expect it to be done. Yeah. It's got to get done.
Oh, girl. And see, I think another part of me is like, if I tell you what my plan was for my life, and you look at what my life is now, it is completely opposite from what and the way that I was, well, I am on certain things. Is when I said, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And when that didn't happen, it was like, oh crap, because I wasn't one who accepted backup plans. Not that my parents didn't teach me to have one. I didn't accept it. Well, what's your backup plan? What you mean? I'm going to dance for Janet Jackson. What's your backup plan? What you mean? I'm going to dance for Janet Jackson. Not knowing what my parents were telling me is, Janet Jackson is X amount of years old. By the time you get old enough to even qualify for these things, she's going to be, she may be, not touring as much. So what is your plan? And I was like, I don't know what you mean. Like, so it didn't compute to me. And so it was like, okay, well, fine. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. One, my family was surrounded. I was surrounded. That's all I was surrounded by. Outside of my mama who worked for the government, everybody else was an entrepreneur. Grandmamas, my grandfather, like everybody else. So I knew I wanted my own this, that, the other. How are you going to do that? I'm going to tour for Janet Jackson. I'm going to do this. I'm going to guess how I'm going to network. I had all of that planned. So when I go to school and then I get pregnant, it was, oh, so that's not going to happen. Oh, so that's not going to happen. I thought I was going to be with, okay. So, and there was a lot of monkey wrenches. So at that point, it became, do what you need to do to survive and make sure your son doesn't have, or give your son the chance to live his, it became that versus, well, set a new goal, set a new dream. I don't have time for dreams. I can set a goal that I can reach, but I don't have time for a dream. My dreams are gone. Dreams are gone. Like, bump a dream. I don't have time to be dreaming, because while I'm over here dreaming, my son's getting left behind. I don't have time for that. I can set a realistic goal. But if it's not realistic in my head, then don't come to me. And that's just how I feel. And I mean realistic, like, no, you can do this. It might be a little tough. It might be a little hard. You might have some obstacles. I'm okay with that. But when I can literally pile up and look at my life day to day and know that this is not conducive, then I'm not going to set myself up for that failure. I'm not. I have all the faith in the world. I'm just not going to set myself up for that failure because I know life. I know life is, if it can give you a FU, it will. So what I'm not going to do is put myself in that position for you to give me a FU and I'll not be able to take the pivot. I'll not be able to pivot. If I can't pivot, then what? And I got people behind me that I'm responsible for. I cannot be able not to be able to pivot. I have to be able to pivot. That's essential for me. So while that may be a dream, let's be a little bit more realistic. Let's bring it back. And that's for me. While I'm saying this for me, it's hilarious because I'm telling my kids, what are your dreams? Set your goals to your dreams because I don't want them to have the outlook that I have. So it's that gray area, fine line, that thing. But that's why I don't. I feel like, girl, you so far behind the curve. You almost 40. You don't have eyes. Yes, you're married. But y'all, let me tell y'all. I tell anybody this. I don't have time for drama. I have 6 children, a husband, 3 baby mamas, and a baby dad. I don't have room. I don't have room. I got enough going in my life. I don't have room. So with that logic, girl, somebody got to be stable in this. And if that means it's me, and I'm hated for it, then oh well, I'll be that person. And that's my level up. That's why I don't like, oh, my celebrations, birthdays. You know, I made it in over a year. Like a lot of people like to say so-and-so 2.0 or me 2.0 or level up me. Do you ever feel like there will be a point where you feel like I'm done? Like I'm comfortable, I'm done.
When I have my house, my 5 dogs. I'm not a cat lady, ladies and gentlemen.
She's a farmer.
Listen, I promise you, if I could get a horse without having to actually take care of the horse, I would. If I could adopt the horse and have it somewhere else, they do. So I want somebody else to take care of it, but I want to have it. I'm not a cat lady. So I'm gonna be, and I think the husband tried to play me earlier because he tried to tell me that, but I'm fine.
Hold up. This thing talk about a farm. Ask her what's in her house.
I only got a cat and a dog. That's it. And three kids. That's it. Well, I had 2 dogs. One of them just had to go. I couldn't do it. No.
I promise you, I was like, I think we should get a turtle or a rabbit.
Oh no, my daughter wants a hedgehog.
So those are cute.
It's gonna live at your damn house.
I want a hedgehog.
My mother just promised
an African pygmy hedgehog.
And they want 2 ferrets.
I don't want them.
They stink, first of all. I don't want nothing else in their house. But you know what? My son does want a turtle. And I told him, if he keep his hygiene up, because you can get salmonella touching them damn turtles. Just put them in. It's all kind of stuff. But they want a bunch of animals. We don't have that type of house.
Farmers.
You don't call somebody a farmer.
That's because she wants $16.
I said, how we make that a lot? And I said 5.
Come on, Fox in the Hound. What is it?
Y'all don't know nothing about that movie.
Right at all.
I love the movie. Y'all don't know nothing about that movie.
It's like, oh.
Yes, I think I will have reached my level up once I have my own. I don't know what the end is. I think the end for me is when I'm comfortable. I think I will never stop leveling up because, as I said in our very first episode, I'm all about education. I'm always about learning and learning new things. And so when it comes to learning, I'll constantly be doing that. That's a till I die situation. But as far as like stability, because I guess to me there are different ways to level up people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can level up professionally, you can level up personally, you can level up as a parent, you can level up as, you know, all of this stuff. To me, I think professionally, my level up starts when I have my own business, side hustle that's making me money, and I still have my regular job that's making me money, because I do have an entrepreneurial spirit, but I also like health insurance and having somebody else pay for that health insurance. Okay, so
Amen.
I will always want to work because I appreciate having that. I'm not going to apologize for that, but I do like the entrepreneurship of having to do what I want when I want to do it in a lot of ways. For me, on a personal level, that's professionally. Personally, I think I'll stop. Don't know when I had my 6 goals, well, 5 goals, and keep throwing that once. But it's, I think it's difficult for me as well because, like Michelle said about her backup plan, I've always been a free spirit. I never really had a plan. I kind of was just like, I mean, I'm gonna do this. I remember telling my mother, I don't want to go to college. She was like, okay, well then what are you gonna do? I don't know. So I guess I'm going to college. Like, that was literally the only reason I went to college, because that was my backup plan, because I had no other plan. I think for me, in my ideal world, as Michelle said about her and Janet Jackson and Mason, I never really knew what I wanted to do, but in my ideal world, I had 3 kids by 30. They would have all had the same father. We'd have had a very nice parental agreement, because I never wanted to be married. I can honestly say that up until 29 to 30 was the only 2 year that I actually really wanted to be married. And that was based on one of the guys I was dealing with had 2 kids, 2 baby mamas, and I did not want to be a mama number 3. So I was like, us have kids, bro, you have to marry me, because I'm not doing that. But otherwise, I never wanted to be married, but I wanted all of my kids to have the same father. And so I would always tell my mother, I'm going to draw up this contract. We're going to be friends. I'm going to draw it up. And it's going to say, like, your pen is mine for 5 years, because my kids, I had how I wanted them. I wanted my first kid at like 23, then 26, then 28. Then when I got closer to 23 and I realized at 19, 23 ain't that far. Or 20, 23 is not that far. I'm not going to be ready to do that. Maybe I'll do 24, 27, 29. Like, it was supposed to be 3 years, then 2 years, and I'm done. Then it was like, well, you 21, how you feel about that 24? Maybe 25. Until now, I'm 34 with no 991, but I got a dog. I got Roman. That's my baby. And I was like, and I'm 34, having watched females, having godchildren, mind you, having been godmother, and more to the point, as Michelle knows, because whatever, my son, as I call him, I had my oldest godson every weekend for a year, because his mother was working through the week, his father was trash. I remember the one time I dropped him off to his father, because he was like, I really want my son, so I'm gonna bring my son. Here you go. An hour later, yeah, can you come get him? Because I got stuff to do. No, you want to run the streets. So I went and got my child. And I told her at the time, I said, look, and I called my baby mama. I told her, I'm never, ever, 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 ever dropping him off to his father. I don't care what he says. So be clear on that. But I say that because I did mother. I got 3 kids in my house right now that I deal with. So I'm mother to them. So to me, my goals that have shifted, as Michelle's have, I think, as all of ours have, because that's just what life does. Mm-hmm. So to an extent, I don't even ever know get to a point where you stop leveling up, because your levels just may change. Mm-hmm. So they have to shift based on whatever life throws at you, because you're not going through life by yourself. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with other people. Mm-hmm. You know, whether you did or didn't want to get divorced, that happened, because it's you dealing with somebody else. Mm-hmm. Whether Michelle did or didn't want to be a single mother, you're dealing with somebody else. So you don't have that choice. Right. Yep. Whether I want a kid, but I never found anybody that matched that until, time like now. Like, if me and Marshall, if I would have met him 10 years ago and been like, look, this is my plan. I want kids. I want them all to have the same dad. we're going to sign these papers. We're going to do, which is something that came up when we did the other one out, was, well, I would do this legally, like notarize and everything. let's draw up a parental contract. And I will always tell my mother, I always leave the door open. And maybe this is my romantic side version of life, and it's very true, probably because I'm very much a business-minded, logical person. If I left the door and there's space in my mind and my heart for he and I to have something romantic, but the base to me was supposed to be rooted in friendship and a love for children and family and wanting to be a parent. And we can figure out us romantically during that or somewhat after that. Because I had seen, even as a child being very observant, I had seen this. I had seen families fall. I had seen kids, my peers, suffering behind me. Because these people who one time, oh my God, I love you, I love you, I love you, hate each other now. And the kid is caught in the middle of it. So I was like, well, I can avoid that if I had kids with a friend and we draw paper. Because then even if I can't stand you, you can't not stand me, look, because you signed this, we did this, we agreed, and I can come, and we do this every year because again, with COVID, diseases, life, accidents, whatever happens, we readdress and reassess this contract every year, this parental agreement every year. We should never get to the point where we hate each other because our parenting of these kids is built in a foundation of friendship and understanding of the parental responsibilities. You and I romantically, whether we work or we don't, we built this based on them.
Right.
That was always what I had wanted. And so I say that because that didn't happen. And so my level up has had to be, I got to do all this stuff. So it's been that independence that I said earlier. That my level up from potential codependence and raising a child to just being by myself and it's going to be this, more than likely this is what it's going to be for you. I have to adjust. It's been level shifting, which means it's been game shifts, which means the level change.
I don't think it's ever going to be an end result for me as far as leveling up because every time I reach one goal, either I already am trying to reach another one at that time. So even now, like I was explaining to y'all, you kind of laughed at me. And I was like, I'm only getting like a $10,000 or $12,000 raise, with this promotion. And y'all looking like, but it's not what
It's not that. It was the fact that you was like, it's only.
You said only. You prefaced it with the word only, like this is going to be minimum. So you came to the table like, I mean, I'm only getting, so I'm thinking 2,000. Right, 3,000, couple hundred.
No, but so my goals themselves, I was like, okay, boom, got my degree, did this. So with working with the company I work with, we make a decent amount as it is. But then when I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, it's only 82,000. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, it's a little bit of a step up, but I'm thinking at least six figures. You know what I'm saying? So my 5-year goal right now is that I want to make $150,000 a year, but only work 40 hours. So that's why I'm trying to put myself in those places to do that. But even with making 150, it's like, okay, once you reach 150, yes, ma'am. I'm gonna use my hand. Once you reach the 150 level, or salary itself, what's the next step up from there? So I'm going to continuously, as soon as I reach a goal, is what's next for me. Okay, honey, there. Can I do? Tag you it. No, I meant can I go with you? Yeah. Yeah. My husband already asked me if he be a stay-home dad.
Look, I can be a nanny. I tell you, it's real good. I guarantee you, they might hate me. They're gonna be real good. They're gonna be well taken care of. All the babies. They're gonna hate me, but they're gonna know everything they need to know. And then at the end, I'm gonna be like, nah, but Auntie Michelle was cool. Like she was like, when I die, I feel like at my funeral, they're gonna be like, oh my God, I couldn't stand her. She was, but I don't miss her because she was cool. Like we had so much fun. I'm gonna be that auntie, the one that they be like scared of, but they don't want to like get rid of because they know they like. I feel like I'm the safe auntie. Like she might jump in my butt, but I'm safe. Love. Yeah, like I'm like I feel like I'm that like I'm that auntie. So if you need a nanny, call 1-800. Look, my number already looked like, okay?
Like, I know when she got that number, she told me, I'm gonna give you my number, but it looked like a fake number.
I was like, are you sure? I had to warn all my friends. I was like, my number looks fake, but it's mine, I promise you.
But I was with you not long after you got it.
Right.
That was the whole thing of you were in the car. I was like, what's your new number? You like, you told it to me and I looked at you and you were like, I know it sounds fake. Oh, it real sound fast. It really looks fake.
Like when you see it, you be like, but it be stuff like that happen. I be like, oh, what you trying to tell me? Are you trying to like, it's certain things I be like, look, I know I have been a hard-headed child of yours. And this is how I talk to him, like legit. I know I have been, and this is my full right side. And I don't know. I have never seen no one's number. Well, see, what's supposed to happen is because Erica used to work for the company, that's just you give them the phone, this is number. They intend for you to call and get your number changed. Because I am who I am. They gave it to me. It's mine now. You gotta be like, my girl, 80. And then I liked it when I was single because when I would give it out, the Amazon would be like, oh, you giving out fake numbers. And me having the ability to know that and sit comfortable, like, if you don't want to call me, don't call me. And leave it at that. To me, that was such a relief than having to try to make up a fake number. And that, for me, it was a weeding out process. If you wanted to call, you didn't care how the number looked. Right, you would call.
You at least say the chance.
So
it might be fake. It might
be fake. But I'm interested, then I'm a call. And that, I'm gonna be honest, it helped me get out a whole bunch of people. Because like even in conversations, it became, I didn't think this was real. So it became a topic of conversation. Yeah, so it was kind of like, he was like, and it was funny because one of them, I was like, I feel like I just passed the test. And in my head, I was like, but I love my number just for what it is. And then having children, it's so easy for them to remember. It's so easy. So when it came time to teach my stepchildren, okay, in case of an emergency, because daddy can't answer his phone at the job that he's at. Right. In case of emergency, you need to know stepmommy's number. I taught them my number. They were like, that's it? I was like, yes. So it's just automatic. But if you ask any of my stepchildren their other parents' number, they can't give it to you.
I actually know your number's on the people about heart because it is that simple. It's like 4. So I guess the last question that I will ask is, what is your current level up goal? Like where you are now, what is your level up goal? Like what is it that you are trying to achieve? Let's say by the end of this level up or by the end of 2021.
As I stated a few moments ago, I'm definitely challenging my work at my current position. Because of the economy and what it is now, stability first over anything. Mm-hmm. So just to get that stability back to where we were is number one. And then from there to move forward. Because as we know, things can change. Especially COVID hasn't taught us anything else. It's taught us that things can change in the drop of a hat. So with that being said, leaving that room to go, okay, look, let's look for this stability, but what is your this backup plan? So for me, it's concentrating on the podcast, concentrating on I have a hard time focusing in on one thing at a time. The way my brain works is, and Siobhan knows this.
And you're watching, see the face. It took forever to get to the podcast.
The way my brain works, because I feel like I am a true creative, I will literally have an idea and go, oh, and be extremely excited about it and throw out everything. And I'm like, I want this, that, and the other. But while I'm planning out that idea branches another one. So as quick as that comes, another one comes, and I'm like, ooh, but I can take this and turn this into that while that's doing that. And I tell anybody, the best job for me would be the job where I could come in and have this idea, throw it to that team. Have this idea. And from that, because I know my brain, something else is going to come, and it's another team on standby that I can take it and throw that idea to. And when I throw it, I'm not nurturing them, but I know the way my brain works. So because of me knowing this, it's like, I was like, that's the type of job that I would need. But those jobs, what they require? Degrees.
And usually masters.
And yeah.
Because you're a director or something like that.
But I know my skill level is there. I just don't have the patience or attention span to sit in a classroom for you to tell me, here's your paper, now you can be as creative as you want. What?
I was already doing it.
So, or for someone to try to border my creativity. Don't do that. Oh, because I could be thinking, well, that's not going to work because in the standard X, Y, and Z, that's not standard. This is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So, but that's how my brain works. So for me, my thing is with this podcast, and this is my first of many tools where I'm like, my first of many projects where I'm like, this is the one I'm going to hunt. One, I'm really, really passionate about this. Siobhan knows I'm there for meeting. What got it? This is the one I'm like, okay, even if nothing comes from this, like I'm not expecting to blow up and be a influencer. I'm not expecting any of that. But if somebody can look at us and say, hey, I can do this, they say, well, I watched so and so while they was doing it, and this is what I got. And they go and take it and run for the stars. And I reached this level, but they up here. But they go, oh yeah, I watched them. Cool. I feel like I accomplished something. And I learned a lot. I got to share a lot. People got to see that I'm flawed. People got to see, look, everybody not right in their head. And I feel like I'm normal. So as long as I can show other people who are like me, you're normal. I'm okay with this not going anywhere because I think this time, like for me, it's different. So that's what this is for me, and that's what I want. That's my level up for this, is just to be able to have an idea and stay focused on it, even if it's creating within it, but to still stay focused on just that one. I know my sisters, because not only Siobhan here, my braiding sister, Tarisha, has been pushing for me to do this whole event planning thing because I have been planning events since before COVID. And me and events have a love-hate relationship. Like, it drives me crazy, but I do love it. I love the end result to go, ooh, all this stress, what about this? And move on to the next thing. And I feel like if I went back to school, it would probably be in the event planning, hospitality, like someplace where I can take all of my natural interests
and scatterbrainness and make it work for me. Because I am very scatterbrained. Very. And I am learning to be okay with it. And telling everybody else, look, I'm sorry. This is how my brain works. I didn't do it. And I can try to change it. Yeah. Then it's not authentic. And it just doesn't work. Right. It doesn't work. I look out of place. I feel out of place. Everybody just starts asking me what's wrong. You okay? You don't look right. So I don't do that anymore. I'm weird. I'm okay with it. If you're not okay for my weirdness, go be weird someplace else. Or go be normal someplace else for real people. I'm weird. So what's yours, Sean? What is your end goal for this level? What's your end level?
To be honest, I've just accomplished it over the weekend. It was a promotion that I've literally been striving for this for 7 years. That's a long time. Mm. And I couldn't have done it without the paper, the degree. So is that, and it's starting my master's in September. That's the only thing that was left for 2021. Going into 2022, though, my new goal, like I told you, was to start. I can't say start a family, but to
Content.
to add on to our family for 2022 and to start my family.
I'm going to be the godmother. I don't care if she names someone as godmother. I'm going to walk in. I'm the godmother. They were like, no, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. This is my brain. This is how it works. Just let me live with my
Michelle's
brain.
already gonna be. I don't like too many people.
Look, that's good. And I'll be honest, if you see how often we talk, you will be like, well, why y'all don't even talk? But we do. Because when we talk a lot. Like, that's what I'm saying. Look, just let us be great.
We're already saying it. We're going to say it right here. And I know it sounds like really dry to be like, I've already, but that's
but sometimes it's that.
I mean, that's what it is about love. You're supposed to achieve. So if you've already achieved, then now you're on to the next level.
Yeah, I think some people also mistake. I think the term complacent sometimes has a negative connotation. Oh, you're just being complacent, but I'm comfortable. Mm-hmm. If you have truly accomplished whatever you need to accomplish on this level, it's okay
to be good
with it. And then it's not even complacent. At that point, it's content.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another thing. Some people misuses the word complacent when they actually mean content. I'm not complacent. I'm content. And some people can't understand that. And yours.
That's crazy because you sit next to the bougie one. But you see the glass? I'm sorry. Probably the glass. But I'm bougie. Yeah.
Just because I got sparkles don't make me bougie.
Have you seen her career? Okay.
I just like shiny things.
I said it. I don't know. I'm content. I think my next level is to get my own place again. But that's the next level. Where I am right now, I am enjoying the fruits of my labor. Mm-hmm. I am enjoying the fruits of my level up. Going to BSC to get the web design development degree, to get the job I have now, was my level up. I am living in my level up, and I am content in it for right now. 2022, I would like to get my own place again because I do miss that. Mm-hmm. But the housing market is not right.
It's not right. The housing market, that's a whole.
It's not right.
Another one for a completely another day.
So the best we will say, we can all agree, is the Voga Italia Messiah. So props to y'all, Voga Italia, for being the best at this wine tasting.
Number 2, I would go. I think the Mora actually was really, really good. And
I think it would be the Stella Rosa. So those are the top 3 of the 6
of this month's wonderful retake. Why not? Why not retake? Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank you for joining us today.
Special thank you to our guest.
Yes, special thank you to our guest. This is our homie. This is definitely a friend of the podcast. You will definitely see her once or twice or 3 or 4 times more. So
if we need a sub in, tag me.
I try to tell you, this is our homie. This is a familiar face. Yes. So get familiar.
Y'all had that? Or was that a New York thing? Y'all remember that little voice in the song?
It was the show. She was. Oh goodness, ladies and gentlemen! I hope you've had as much fun as we had. And this is. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Wine Up. This has been your host, Ty Michelle and
Siobhan Camille.
Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down below. And also tell us, have you tried any of these wines? Which one was your favorite? Let us know. We'd like to hear from you. And as always,
there's nothing wrong with a little wine.